see if you've read the post. I've handed back your newspaper assignments you wrote right before the break, and what I'm expecting you to do is to work on editing them before Tuesday, right? Because hopefully by Tuesday, at the end of Tuesday, I should say, you're done editing them. Thursday we'll have a little quick assessment, and then we're done newspapers. And I'm hoping that this video today will be quick, concise, but also like pretty precise, so you can get enough detail about how to edit your newspaper. So that's exactly what we're doing. We're editing our newspapers. So across the board, what did we do good? What did we do well? We are including pretty solid headlines. We are often having bylines, right? We're indicating that it is Taylor Green. Okay. We had lead paragraphs, and for the most part, they all included who, what, where, and whens. All right. So those first three, the first bits that we have, are done excellently. All right. For the most part, those are all done in the RACA realm, which may not be where we're heading, but like it's a good progress from where we've come. All right, so what can we work on though? All right, what can we work on? What we're going to do first is we're going to look at what was the purpose of our assignment. All right, this is going to be posted right here, so you can look at this as you do your edits. So let's break this down because I never got to go over this really with you. But your name is Taylor Green. All right away you should have something for your byline. All right, and you attend Kindler Elementary School. All right, you are a reporter for your school's newspaper. Last week, your class visited a dark sky preserve. Right? When was it? It was at nighttime. Dark sky preserves are areas dark sky preserves are areas away from the cities that have very little artificial light pollution, such as light from the streets. Let's change the color here. Let's go with some lovely pink. This makes it much darker and easier to see the objects in the night sky. All right, so it's much darker and it's easier to see objects in the sky. Yes, that's a lot of highlighting. All right, but right away we already have everything we need for a lead paragraph. We have who, students of the Kindler Elementary School, what, visited, where, a dark sky preserve, when, at night. Right? And we kind of said that I also put in last week, but it was at nighttime. Right? Now the purpose of your assignment, and this is the important thing. This is, I'm going to try to increase the font here. Right? This is everything you need to know. Okay? This is the most important aspect of this. You're going to write a news article for your school newspaper that will inform the readers about dark sky preserves. All right? This is the number one thing you're trying to do. I'm going to bold it, underline it, and highlight it. At the end of your paper, you should ask yourself, have I told my readers what a dark sky preserve is? All right? You're going to use the information from your trip and your additional research to complete your news article. This is what you have to answer. All right? The rest of this is just information that you can use, right? They're images. But at the end of your paper, you need to say, have I informed the readers about what is a dark sky preserve? All right, so that's our purpose. That's really what we were trying to do. Before that, let's do a little review because it's been almost 3 weeks. Well, yeah, 4 weeks since we've talked about newspapers. So what should you have in it? Right, so looking at content, right? Content is one section. Do you have an effective headline? Well, first of all, do you have a headline? And is it effective, right? Is it appropriate for the audience? Does it summarize kind of what is happening? Does it inspire curiosity, right? Does it catch the attention of the readers? Does it make someone want to read more, right? Is it organized using the inverted pyramid? If you don't remember that, we will discuss that. But that's also a big thing you should do a check mark on. Did you follow this? Your lead paragraph, does it have who, what, where, and when? Most of you did, all right? When you introduce ideas, this is really what this is saying, right? Do you develop them? Do you use a precise and appropriate details that effectively fit with the purpose of the assignment? So are the details you're using, are they really telling us what is the dark sky preserve, or are they telling us something different? Right? So if you lost marks, you might have kind of went on a tangent, wrote a lot about nothing, right? You wrote a lot about something that isn't appropriate. Did you include quotations, some of us didn't, from different witnesses, right? Not just the same one, not just one. And the last one, something that we're all struggling with, is your tone. Is it appropriate for the audience? Does it sound like a newspaper? And we're going to talk about that a little bit later. Now, content management, a good portion of your mark also came from this. All right? So are you trying to extend your vocabulary? We're working on vocab for a reason, right? Do you have varied sentences? What that means is, or is everything one long run-on, or is everything kind of short and to the point, right? How can you change up the variety? Are you asking questions? Are you making exclamations? Spelling and capitals. Grade 6, we should have our capitals down by now. Are you using quotation marks accurately, right? That means you have a comma before your quotation mark if you have writing before it, all right? Do you have proper punctuation? And do you have these short paragraphs, or is it one big paragraph? We should by now, we should in the inverted pyramid section we're going to talk about, those should be separate paragraphs with spaces. All right. So go through this checklist when you're doing your edit to make sure you say, yes, this is the best I can present. All right. So organization, our first thing, right? This is our inverted pyramids, if you remember that. The first thing on the top is our lead paragraph. Wherever you see this line, that you should leave a space in your writing, right? Create a space, indent, new paragraph. In the middle is your background information. Remember, at the top of this pyramid is your M. It's your most important information. At the bottom is your least. This is the extra details. So if there's information that you're given for the assignment and it doesn't actually help tell us what a dark sky preserve is, maybe that has to be at the bottom. Everything at the top. It shouldn't be about your bus. It shouldn't be talking about, and I know, and this is kind of where the confusion happened. I know I said write your how, right? But a lot of us think how is how did they get to the dark sky preserve? And that's not the case, right? That's not always the case. Because in this example, your question was really, what is a dark sky preserve? Not how did they get there? So the most important information is, what did you learn on the trip, right? What did you learn on the trip? Or what did you learn about those kinds of things? And it's not about you, but what did they learn, I guess? You're a reporter. So this is kind of an inverted, I know it is, you can't really see it, but there's a line here. This is our triangle, right? And I've extended it. So first you need your headline and your byline, all right? Next, you're going to go to the information that you're given for your assignment, all right? This is what you're given. Right here, in this blue, that's going to be our lead, right? That's our lead. Okay, our purpose now, and this is where some of us also struggled. Our purpose should be our topic sentence, right? First paragraph. All right, so in your first paragraph, your topic sentence, you should talk about your purpose. Why are you going on this trip? Or at least include it at the end of your lead paragraph. From there, this is how I suggest we should have structured it. So if the whole point of this article is what is a dark sky preserve, right? Then you should go through and you should highlight everything that is talking about dark sky preserves, right? Specifically what you can see. Well, you can see the Milky Way galaxy, right? So in that first sentence, that first paragraph, you should talk about the Milky Way galaxy, all right? There are 4 dark sky preserves in Alberta. Now, does that tell us what it is? Sometimes it does. So maybe if you can put that in, perhaps, but this shouldn't be the first thing you mention, right? This seems to me like extra details. Light pollution. Now you might tie that in, but did it tell you what is a dark sky preserve? Maybe, maybe not. All right. What I see though is I see several planets visible to the naked eye. So if you don't know what that means, is you can actually see the planets without using any kind of telescopes. Okay. And maybe potentially, again, so we have 2 things here that I say, what are they? And if you recall, at the beginning of your assignment, right, here we have the actual definitions of what a dark sky preserve is. All right? You can use these almost word for word. I'll change the ones below. In your first paragraph. So use this purple. Discuss the fact that you can see the Milky Way galaxy. And discuss the fact you can see planets. And to me, that's an excellent first paragraph. All right? I'll create a legend for this when I post it. All right? And going through some more, right? Maybe you're going to talk about then the second paragraph, right? So this is, again, there's a space. Create a space in your writing. You're going to bring up a new topic. All right, so maybe you're going to talk about, because they have a lot, why are the preserves so important to animals? So you're going to go through this and you're going to look at things about animals. All right, so all we have here is we have about animals, right? Some animals use it to hide from predators. Bats are most active at night, right? Wildlife is sensitive to artificial lights. Light pollution affects animals, right? Now we have some now you don't have to use all this information, but it's about organizing it so it's the most effective. Maybe in this paragraph you want to talk about what is light pollution, right? So maybe you want to talk about, in your second one though, is that often they're located out of towns when you connect it to animals. Say the animals live outside of towns and cities. They find these places. There's less people. There's less pollution, right? And it doesn't affect their hunting. So these other things that you found left over, you might be able to include. All right, but now we're getting an idea. So we have our lead paragraph. We can include this in either our lead or the start of our purple of our first paragraph. And then we have these reds. That's going to show us what we could write about in our technically our third paragraph. Now this third body paragraph, this is where you can start discussing the trip. All right, what are some of the things that happened on the trip? Because at this point, you've discussed entirely what you can see on the what you know, or what the students know about the trip. All right, and at the very end, that's when you write your conclusions. I saw a lot of solid conclusions, but then the middle isn't developed as well. And the way we develop the middle is by using your quotations. And something you have to ask yourself in all of these three body paragraphs is, how are you using your quotations? Does it have purpose? A lot of times people are using it as a reaction. They're like saying, Sarah, a girl in grade 6, said, "Oh my God, I love the stars." Right? Is saying, "Oh my God, I love the stars," actually telling you about what a dark sky preserve is? Or can you instead go here and say, Sarah said that she was able to see the planet Saturn without the use of a telescope, right? So what you're doing is you're not using this word for word, but you're paraphrasing it and also presenting the information, as opposed to you just typing it like an article. Sorry, like an essay or something like that, right? Because it's supposed to be an article, not an essay. You're supposed to be interviewing people and getting this information out of them. Okay? So what it should be is to convey information. That's what quotes are for. All right? Next thing is, have you introduced, misspell, who the speaker is? Right? Why do we care about that speaker? Now, if we go to the Dark Sky Preserve, I think it's fair to say that either a teacher is going to be there, right, or an expert, right? So maybe you have an expert from from the university who knows a lot about astronomy. Well, then I think it's really important what she has to say. So it's also about, how can I pick people who matter? Because it's not just about the school trip, it's about informing the readers about the Dark Sky Preserve. And who's more important, or who's maybe more credible is the word, right, as a quotation. And the last thing is, are you including different speakers? Are you only having one person? So this is another kind of checklist when you're using your quotations. Does it have purpose? Are you just saying a reaction, saying, I love the trip, my favorite part of the trip was this, blah, 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 blah. Or are you being informational, saying, Sally learned this. Sally, the smartest student in grade 6 science, said, I already knew this, but I learned this on the trip. Right? It's telling the reader some more things. Last thing, not the last thing, sorry, a big thing though. I'm going to say about 40% of us are starting to understand the tone, but 60% are struggling still. Right? Some people are either writing it as a story, or they're writing it almost as a diary entry. What we need to realize is, there is no we, me, my, our, they, and especially I. Right? Taylor Green is part of the newspaper team. She's not part of the even if she did go on the trip, she's not part of the group in that sense. She's outside of the story, right? She's outside of the story looking in. It'd be like, think about your favorite novel, all right? You're inside the favorite novel. You're not going to say, Harry Potter and I are doing this, right? You're reporting it as if you're seeing it. When you watch the news, and if you don't know what, just Google just YouTube the news a little bit and look how a news anchor, that's people who present the news, how they talk. They never say, I went and did this, right? It's always about what other people were doing, okay? And the next thing about this tone is there's no fact or opinion. So let's look at some example. You're writing in what's called third person, right? So third person, that means you don't say, I saw, right? You say witnesses saw. Because it's not about what you did or what you saw or who you interviewed. It's about other people's experience, and you're reporting on their experience. And the big thing is you share facts, but not your opinions of the facts. And that's as simple as don't saying the stars were beautiful, right? If you write in your thing the stars were beautiful, it has to be a quotation, because you can't put your own spin on the story, right? You have to report directly what people experienced. It's not about what you think about the story, right? It's not a diary entry. So for example, you don't say, then the robots did something really stupid, they stole a car, right? Because that's judging them. That's putting an opinion on it. Instead, you say, the police say the robbers then took the damaged statue with them and stole a car to leave the scene of the crime, right? It's very fact-based. First of all, you didn't say that. The police said this. It's very, very professional, right? That the robbers first did this, and then they did this, right? Next slide. Facts and, you can't see it, this is opinions. And right, how to tell the difference. Facts, are you putting stuff that can be proven true or false, and are you trying to prove it, right? So do you have people who say these things, people who are in this experience that proves that it happened by using quotations, right? So things like statistically, women live longer than men. Buses weigh more than most cars, right? There are 10 inches on a foot. This one's false, right? Sorry. But yeah, this one's false. Opinions, though, are statements that can't be proven. They can be argued. Like, if you say the stars are beautiful or the northern lights are amazing, we can argue against that because it's called subjective. What might be beautiful to you is not beautiful to me. Things like golf is boring, pizza is delicious, math is a hard subject. So are you full of facts or are you full of opinions? This last one is, we're going to tie this all together. All right? What should you be striving for? What does an excellent look like? Right? And so we're going to read through this, and we're going to try to see, does she have proper tone? Does she have inverted pyramid? Does she have a good lead? And all those kinds of stuff. I don't want to design. Help. Draw. Highlighter. Can I scroll down? All right. First of all, discovering beauty. All right? We have a great headline. To me, that's about curiosity. And you know what? It's not that you're going to get ever marks off, but it's about, are you just saying Kinder Elementary School goes on a trip, or are you trying to be creative? Right? Are you trying to draw on the reader? Next, we have our byline. All right? Two great things. I'm going to highlight, all right? Actually, I'm going to use red, and I'm going to highlight if they have all of the parts. So last week, already, we know when, on April 26th. We got a specific date, right? A grade 6 class who, what did they do? Visited a dark sky preserve in Alberta. All right? Already in the first sentence, we're not even done the sentence, they have answered all of the stuff we need for a lead paragraph. And then after that, they state the purpose, right? They state the purpose because they wanted to learn more about dark sky preserves and why they are important. They follow this by saying, Leslie, a student in the class that states. Now let's look at that. What did they already do good about this quotation? They've identified who this person is. They are a student in the class that visited. That's why we care about them. You never know what you can learn about nature. What I like about this quotation is it introduces the fact that there's a lot more you can learn. It's almost like a question that's kind of introducing the rest of it. So if I was a reader and I read through this and it says you never know what you're going to learn about nature, as a reader I'm saying, well, what can you learn about nature? And they're doing that in a form of a question. Did you know that there are 4 dark sky preserves in Alberta? And one of the largest dark sky preserves in the world is located in Alberta. We talked about your start of your first paragraph, how we can have it as your purpose. We've also did in class, we talked about how it can be a question. All right? So what they're doing is they're using facts to try to connect you because this is written for Albertans by Albertans, connect you with this idea of what is like, how do dark sky preserves relate to our province. Now, what they go right in is they use the information that we were also given. So let's say, how do they answer the question of what is dark sky preserves? Dark sky preserves are a place or area where there is very little light pollution from artificial lights, right? And is usually located in remote areas away from busy cities and in towns. So right away they defined it, right? I can't write on this. They defined it. Defined it. That's what happens if you have a trackpad. That way, they are much more peaceful and is much easier to see the atmosphere. Now what I like is this is a vocab word. When we talk about using proper vocab, things like atmosphere, it really sticks out to me. Okay? Dark sky preserves help humans see the stars, and we already talked about stars, planets, constellations. Now this is a word that you tie into your grade 6 science, because there's no indication about constellations on the actual thing, but they brought it in anyways, and much more. There's incredible views of the Milky Way. That is something we're given, right? And usually there are several planets visible to the naked eye. Once again, that's something that we were given. So in the first paragraph, they defined, now they're saying what they saw, right? So what they're doing is they're separating it thematically. Some of these things are hard to see near artificial light, right? So now they're going to talk about the idea of artificial light. So it's very different to see the stars and the planets. Jonah, an interested student, claims, or exclaims, right? That's really, they're really excited, right? There are so many people in towns and cities who are unaware of the beauty of the night sky and the animals in the area. Once again, right here, what I like about this is it's informational, all right? It's informational. There are many animals that we didn't live out in the animals that we didn't live out in the dark sky preserves that are active at night. Okay, so now they're starting to talk about that idea of nocturnal, because now they're explaining it. Light pollution is hard on animals. Some animals use darkness to hide from their predators. It's a list. Sorry, dragon. Animals like bats and owls and nighthawks may even be sensitive to artificial lighting. I didn't know artificial lighting had so much effect on what we see and how people live. Right, so this is, I think, maybe their weakest. Right, their weakest use of quotation, because it's more of a reaction. But they have two really good ones before that. And now in their conclusion, sometimes you don't know what you're missing. So go out, and I love this. So go out at the dark, look at a dark sky preserve, enjoy nature, learn new things, and look at the beauty of our world. Okay? They're kind of tying it all together. I've attached this kind of rubric that they marked, and it explains why exactly they got an excellent on the PAT. All right? Going back to our... All right, so that's everything, all right? I know this video was a bit longer. I apologize for that. But you need to use the information here to edit what you've created. All right, edit it, make it to an excellent, and I'm going to mark it again. All right, good luck editing. Watch the whole video.